So, Ms. Erica, what are the main advantages of using MPS in humanitarian forensics?
Okay. MPS is used in humanitarian forensics to analyze DNA samples often found in mass graves, disaster sites,
forensic scientists.
And then it helps to simultaneously sequence more number of DNA samples. And also it can help in identify human samples and also help solve cases to exonerate the innocent. And also it helps in identifying human remains in forensic humanitarian. Thank you.
Thank you too. So some of the disadvantages of MPS in humanitarian forensics, as she rightly mentions, are, in case of mass victim disasters such as war zones, earthquakes and others, you can use massively parallel sequencing for mixed samples and degraded samples, to find individuals and then find their various locations. And proceeding with this, we move to our next person, and she is in the person of Mrs. Naima Alassan. And Mrs. Naima Alassan, please, can you provide an example of a case where MPS has made a significant impact in solving a crime?
Well, thank you for the question. MPS have been used in solving a lot of cold cases, especially in the US. And a typical example is the Golden State Killer, which involves Joseph James D'Angelo, which he was involved in rape and also serial killings. And this occurs in the 1970s and the 1980s. But since the traditional Sanga method was not able to find enough evidence to incriminate him, those cases was left unsolved. And then with that, we give credit to the forensic scientists over there for preserving the evidences they collected from the crime scenes during that time. So recently, through the use of MPS and genetic genealogy, they were able to sequence the evidences that they found in the crime scenes during the 1970s and the 1980s, and they were able to create a family tree, and with that they were able to find the culprit, which led to Mr. Joseph James D'Angelo, and he was apprehended and convicted in 2018.
Wow, that's very interesting. I think by now you all have seen or heard an example of how MPS is very useful when it comes to the field of forensic and in solving crime issues. That's very interesting story, and then I hope you all read more about that and then delve into how forensic science and then massively parallel sequencing is important in this field. So with this massively parallel sequencing, it has societal there are some societal progress in the massively parallel sequencing and ethical consideration, because it has to deal with the use of biological samples, and with biological samples you have to have ethical consideration before you can be able to use such samples for further investigations. So we delve into the societal progress and ethical consideration in using massively parallel sequencing. So Ms. Naima, still on you, how can massively parallel sequencing be used as a positive tool for societal progress beyond law enforcement?
Okay, beyond law enforcement, there are a lot of uses of MPS in our daily lives. So a recent example that I can give is from the Duchess and the Duke of Sussex, which is Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, which they made their visit to Nigeria on the 12th May 2024. And that was after the discovery of Meghan Markle discovering that she traced her origin to the Nigeria. So beyond law enforcement, massively parallel sequencing can be used in tracing ancestry. It can also be used in identifying victims in disasters, and also it can be used in health medicine. So there are certain diseases that we have to delve into genetically in order to find solutions to those problems. Example is the Parkinson's diseases, which is a genetical